Welcome to this video on AutoSys Azure Blob solution. This video will explain the Azure Blob integration with AutoSys and its benefits for the AutoSys user community. We'll provide technical insights to identify the integration components and understand the deployment sequence. We'll focus on the design and execution sequence of Azure Blob jobs. Finally, we'll run through a demo. Azure Blob Storage is an object storage service designed to store, move, monitor, and delete large volumes of unstructured data in the cloud, such as text and binary data. Integrating AutoSys with Azure Blob allows you to automate various storage operations on Azure Blob. With AutoSys's robust capabilities, you can define jobs to schedule, orchestrate, and monitor operations such as copying a blob from one container to another, deleting a blob from a container, downloading a blob from a container, checking whether a blob exists in a container, monitoring a blob for creation, updates, or generation operations, uploading a blob to a container, move a blob from one container to another. AutoSys plays a central role in orchestrating operations across multiple environments, including the cloud, and synchronizing these processes with other non-cloud operations. Integrating Azure Blob allows us to centrally configure process automation in AutoSys. Subsequently, we can trigger, monitor, and supervise all processes from a single interface. These Azure Blob processes seamlessly sync with different environments supported by AutoSys, such as applications and databases. This integration allows you to execute and monitor Azure Blob jobs through AutoSys. By leveraging AutoSys' advanced capabilities, you can accelerate your digital transformation efforts with greater success. Define your Azure Blob and let AutoSys manage the scheduling of these workflows seamlessly. AutoSys lets us build configurations with intuitive interfaces and monitor them through simple dashboard tools specifically designed for operational use. Statuses are indicated, and accessing logs is as simple as clicking a button. From an operations perspective, AutoSys greatly simplifies the configuration and orchestration of Azure Blob jobs. Externalizing operations to a tool with a high degree of third-party integration means we can synchronize all cloud with non-cloud workloads. Using various agents and job object types, we can build sophisticated configurations involving multiple applications, database packages, system processes like backups and data consolidation, file transfers, web services, and other on-premise workloads. The job submission sequence is relatively simple because all job definition properties are stored in the AutoSys plain old Java, or POJO job. Azure Blob Storage is designed to facilitate the creation, updating, generation, uploading, downloading, deletion, existence checking, copying, and moving of data. For the sake of understanding the process flow, let's take the example of data uploading. All the target system properties, including the endpoint, upload job REST API, auth endpoint, client ID, client secret, and other parameters, are defined in the J2EE parameters. These parameters may vary depending on the authentication method used. Let's look at the sequence of execution. We start with the three main components: the AutoSys scheduler, the system agent, and the Azure Blob server. The AutoSys scheduler submits the POJO job to the system agent. The system agent acknowledges the job from the scheduler and initiates communication with the Azure Blob server. Authentication is then initiated with the system agent posting OAuth 2 authentication, depending on the specifications provided in the authentication J2E properties. In this video, we use OAuth 2 authentication using a proxy, which combines a client ID and a client secret. AutoSys allows connections via proxy, providing additional flexibility and security when accessing Azure Blob resources. Once authenticated, the agent submits the job to the Azure Blob server as a post request. The Azure Blob server identifies and executes the matching job. The job execution returns a JSON response that contains the execution details. The Azure Blob server and system agent monitor the job until it reaches its final state. Once the final state is obtained from Azure Blob, the job status in AutoSys is updated accordingly as either canceled, succeeded, or failed. Let's look at how to deploy the integration. First, ensure the Application Services plugin is installed as a prerequisite. The Application Services plugin and Pojo extension have the CFG extension. In older agent versions, you might encounter a PAK file instead. Next, download the plugin extension package from the marketplace. This package contains all the necessary elements. Unzip the package and extract the content into a temporary folder. Navigate to System Agent Install Directory. Next, we must stop the system agent with the cyb agent-s command. Install the plugin extension with the command plugin installer path to CFG file. Now, restart the system agent with the cyb agent-a command. Remember, this integration uses Azure Blob Public REST API. Let's start by establishing communication with the Azure Blob server. Once communication is established, we can proceed to execute the job. Let's dive into the world of applications and job execution within the Azure Blob environment. Let's start with the demo. The Azure Blob console offers a wide range of service. In this demo, we'll work with the blob type as block blob. Block blobs are designed for storing text and binary data. Block blobs are ideal for uploading large files in blocks and are commonly used for storing files, documents, and media. To begin, select Storage Accounts and choose an account. Next, expand Data Storage and select Containers. Choose a container from the list of existing containers, or create a new one by clicking the Create Container button. In this demo, a process owner needs to download files from the container to their local system, modify them to meet business requirements, and then upload them back to the container. As you can see, the container folder lists the files. These files will be downloaded to the local system using an AutoSys job. Now log in to AutoSys for the next step. Click the Quick View tab to view the job definition. Select the download job to open the job definition. The job employs OAuth 2 authentication using a proxy for the demo. When the job is open, click the Quick Edit button to view the required parameter. Select the machine on which the job is to be executed. The first parameter is the class name, Azure Blob, and the second is the method name, the download job. Now look at the gateway parameters. Understanding these gateway parameters is an essential part of the process. The endpoint parameter indicates where the Azure Blob service resides. The auth endpoint parameter specifies the URL where OAuth authentication takes place. This URL ensures secure access to Azure Blob resources by verifying user identities. Moving on to the client ID, it serves as a unique identifier used to generate a token for OAuth authentication. The client secret, on the other hand, is a confidential secret used to generate a token for OAuth authentication. The scope parameter determines the level of access granted to the application for accessing Azure Blob resources. The version parameter specifies the version of OAuth being used. You can choose the OAuth version that best meets your requirements. The source container name parameter specifies the name of the source container. The source file path parameter specifies the path of the blob within the container. The destination file path parameter specifies the full path where the file will be saved during the download. The file permission parameter specifies the permissions for the downloaded file. If not set, the operating system's file system will determine the permissions. The file owner parameter specifies the owner of the downloaded file. If left blank, the operating system will automatically assign an owner. The file owner group parameter specifies the group ownership of the downloaded file. If left blank, the operating system will assign the group automatically. The useregex parameter is a Boolean value. Set it to true when using wildcards and false when not. The queryPerm parameter specifies any additional query parameters associated with the request. Then we have proxy parameters. The proxy hostname specifies the hostname or IP address of the proxy server to which the connection is established. The proxy port indicates the port number the proxy server uses for communication. The proxy username is required for authentication with the proxy server. The proxy password is the password associated with the username for authenticating with the proxy server. The max retry parameter is crucial as it determines the maximum number of attempts the job status will be fetched from the Azure Blob server for monitoring purposes. The sleep interval parameter specifies the duration of time the system agent should wait before querying the Azure Blob API again to obtain the job status. In the event of a brief downtime experienced by the Azure Blob service, the failure interval parameter comes into play. This parameter specifies the amount of time in seconds before failing the job due to API failure. Lastly, the log level parameter specifies the level of logging information that should be included in the log file. Once you have specified all the J2EE and other parameters, click Commit and close it. That completes the job definition. Let's now start the job. To confirm the job's execution, click Yes when prompted. The current run number for the job is 16. Upon refreshing, a new execution is triggered, increasing the run number from 16 to 35. A status of success indicates that the last execution was completed successfully. To access the spool files, simply scroll down on the user interface until you locate the spool files section. From there, select the desired file and click on the Go button. You will then be prompted to specify the number of lines you wish to display. Reports for all statuses are accessible for further investigation or utilization. As we examine the successful job, we can see that all parameters passed by the user, including job details, storage location, and the names of the downloaded files are displayed. Now, let's check the local folder for the downloaded files. As you can see, they have been successfully downloaded to the local system. After modifying the files, the process owner needs to upload them back to the container using an AutoSys job. Let's examine the upload job now. Select the upload job to open the job definition. The job employs OAuth 2 authentication. When the job is open, click the Quick Edit button to view the required parameter. The first parameter is the class name, Azure Blob, and the second is the method name, upload job. The gateway parameters are the same as those used in the download job, except the destination container name parameter specifies the name of the destination container in Azure Blob storage. The destination blob path parameter specifies the file name or path for the destination blob within the container. The blob type parameter defines the type of blob. The XMS blob content length header parameter specifies the content length header, which is required only for page blob. The overwrite parameter controls whether to replace existing files in the destination container. This applies only if the useregex parameter is set to true. Once you have specified all the J2EE and other parameters, click Commit and close it. That completes the job definition. Once all the parameters are defined, select Start the job and click Go. To confirm the job's execution, click Yes when prompted. The current run number for the job is 33. Upon refreshing, a new execution is triggered, increasing the run number from 33 to 34. A status of success indicates that the last execution was completed successfully. Access the spool files. As we examine the successful job, we can see that all parameters passed by the user, such as job details, parameters, Azure Blob storage location, and the names of the uploaded files are displayed. Now, quickly check the status of the uploaded files in the container. As you can see, these files were scheduled for upload, and they have been successfully uploaded. And that's a wrap for the demo on how AutoSys can integrate with Azure Blob to execute and monitor jobs. Thank you for watching this video.